Yes, the organic meat sack that runs this channel is aware. And the organic meat sack. We'll just keep those sponsors up until some sponsors change. Man, it is rough. It is rough waking up anymore. I do not like the first couple of weeks right after the daylight savings time ends. I do not like going backwards in time. I do not like it being stark pitch black at like 5:25 in the afternoon, you're like, it's like, I'm not ready to go to bed yet. It's like, I don't know what the psychosomatic response is, but feels like I went to bed at 11. And of course I didn't. I mean, I went to bed early, but so yesterday I knew that I wasn't crazy. When I looked at where winds meet, I knew I wasn't completely crazy, but then I started thinking about how important marketing is, right? And marketing is so important. Yeah, it's starting to get more annoying as time goes on. Marketing is so important for your product. And the reason why marketing is so important for your product is people have to know what the hell is going on with your product. And as you saw, like yesterday, I thought I understood what where winds meet was. I thought I understood it. And then it turns out I didn't understand it. But then I knew just reading the little Steam blurb yesterday. I'll bring that up. So when you click into some of this, it's just the trailer. Where's the thing we saw yesterday? Oh. You can embark on a rich narrative-driven single-player adventure with 150 hours of gameplay. Open your world up to 4 friends in seamless co-op, or step into a shared, ever-loving world with thousands of fellow adventurers. So, you have a game that I always say it would be nice if a game tried something new. And they are trying something new. But I don't know if it's going to work. Because I don't think they're doing a very good job of advertising what they're trying to accomplish. Because then I remembered that there was PvP, and how the hell would there be PvP in a co-op seamless world on your own shard? And so I think what's going to end up killing Where Winds Meet is their absolute lack of precise marketing. Like, what are you? It's arena based, kind of. Sit here, I'll talk all morning, and the protein shake will get warm. So it's arena based, kind of. There'll be 10 players in some areas. So it's gonna say, we know that there's the single player world. We know that. You play the story solo, you can open the instance to 4 friends for co-op. And then there's the online world, which has guilds, matchmaking, PvE, group content, PvP, social systems, events, progression hooks. But it's not like the classic one shard MMO with hundreds of people on the screen at one time. You're not going to have like hundreds of people in an area. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see. This, I think, is the first game that's realistically taking a solid stab at blending a game that is based on the single player story arc, but also having that online experience. And I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad. I think what's gonna happen is all of the stuff that I saw up until the video you sent me yesterday had kind of pitched it as an MMO, but it's not. It's I think the best way to call it is 2 games in 1. It's a hybrid experience. Based on that video you sent me yesterday, are you going to be able to go, like, the question is going to be, are you going to be able to go back and forth between the solo player world and the online world? And yeah, your world can be invaded if you get a bounty placed on you, which is weird because you wouldn't think that they would ever create that scenario. I think what's gonna hurt this game is the lack of good marketing. And it's kind of like all the products lately coming out, right? All the products coming out are either good games, bad marketing, or good marketing, bad game. I would love to see a game come out that actually markets itself appropriately so that people know what they're getting into. We've got this really, really awkward situation right now where everybody is building up hype for products that don't even exist yet. Everybody building up hype, like Ashes of Creation. I don't even understand what they're trying to accomplish with Ashes of Creation right now. They had testing servers, and those testing servers were persistent, but now they've taken the public testing servers down so that they could put Harbinger on PTR. But not everybody wants to be bothered installing a second full testing client. I do not, and maybe it's because I'm a jerk. But if you're gonna do something that doesn't make sense, make it make sense. So you have Alpha 2, Phase 2, Alpha 2, Phase 3. Turn this off. PTR. Harbinger. Test this. And then at some point, bring back those servers. Are they hoping, and honestly, are they hoping that what's going to happen is when they wipe the servers, people are going to be okay with them wiping the servers because they finished the Harbinger update? Like, it is that Is that what their end goal is? Because I don't even know really what games what games are coming out. There's not really anything great and amazing lined up. Let's see what we need. I'm trying to get the game release schedule. Oh, I'm in the wrong. I'm like, why can't I see this in Opera? Because you need to actually open Opera, son. It doesn't work otherwise. Apparently, if you take serious damage like break a leg in game or get poisoned, it can cripple your character in game permanently. You have to get an NPC or player from the healing faction to do whatever to heal you. There also seems to be an in-game jail system. See, I like that feature. I really do believe that setting up situations where the players can be permanently hurt is the way to go about it, because then you don't have people like jumping off of mountains. You got crippled. That takes us back to where Salty Bread, I wish Salty Bread all the best of luck in his video game endeavors, because he wants to eventually get to the point where a CK3 MMORPG could be made. And I think that game would be very niche, but I think that game would be very potent. I think a game based on CK3, an MMO based on territory management and going to war and raising an army, I think that would be a very, very, very amazing game. It would just be very difficult to do. A lot of players that don't have the patience for a game like that. So we're gonna see is getting crippled, breaking a leg, getting crippled, gonna be something that players can tolerate. Let's see. Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Is releasing on the same day as Where Winds Meet. Yep. You got 4 games drop, 5 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 games dropping on November 14th. Sadly, we have like no. This is the closest to a MMORPG we're gonna get. Epic open world adventure RPG, 10th century China. Yeah. I wish that they would. I wish that we could get some decent video game media that actually would dig into it. Like, right what we're expecting. Let's see. November video game releases. What else? Satisfactory came out on PS5 and Xbox. That's good. Of Ash and Steel. of Ash and Steel is an upcoming low fantasy open world action role-playing game developed by Fire and Frost. An immersive third-person open-world RPG. Planned release date 24 November. So they delayed a little bit. Game similar. Elder Scrolls Online. Single player. Yeah, we need not single player games. Call of Duty Black Ops, Monster Hunter, Where Winds Meet. Escape from Tarkov 1.0. That game's been around forever already. Yeah, we are screwed when it comes to MMOs in development. We're screwed when it comes to MMOs in release, man. I don't know when we're gonna get another MMO. Isn't it sad that the last couple of years has been a constant? Are there any MMORPGs? From what I've seen, that's it until next year. Chrono did say way back that we should get another beta this year, and we haven't. Oh no, they canceled that. That beta this year, they nixed that when they went back all the way into development. Yeah, they said, yeah, they said when they decided that they were going to gut the game and gut the combat and work on it, they said, yeah, no, we may do a beta, we may not do a beta. Arcade Chronicles is still slated for 2026. Aeon 2, but Aeon 2 is littered with pay to win. Chrono Odyssey. Other anticipated titles with potential 2026 release dates: Ashes of Creation, Bitcraft, and Eternal Tombs. And the Quinfall. Yeah, we're fucked. We're fucked. We don't. There is no home. There is no hope. The 8 most exciting MMOs that could be released in 2026. Aeon 2. Status. Almost finished. Korea release is planned for November 19th, 2025. The payment model and targeted platforms do not quite align with the international focus. Let's see. Chrono Odyssey. We recommended the developers to shift to 2026 as early as June 2025. There were simply too many issues that needed to be addressed, which would require significant time and further tests. That the developers also see it this way was shown by 2 very extensive developer updates. The head himself even admitted in the meantime whether the next beta will even take place this year. There's that thing I talked about. As far as closed beta 2 is concerned, we do not have a fixed date at the moment, and we cannot guarantee that it will take place before the end of the year. The schedule depends on development progress, and we want to ensure... No. That was... This article... Yeah, in August 25, the shift was then confirmed to Q4 2026. Chrono Odyssey cannot comply with the release planned at the end of 2025 after a difficult beta. What's the plan? Kakao Games' new financial report, Chrono Studios' ambitious MMO, has been postponed from the end of 2025 to the fourth quarter of 2026. Just so you know, this is the that's on the financial report. On a financial report, you throw everything that you don't know when it's going to come out in 2026. You put everything into the fourth quarter. Otherwise, if you don't think you can make it, you have to put it into the subsequent fiscal year, and you don't want to do that. That doesn't mean that it has to come out in the fourth quarter, but it is interesting to see that Arcade Chronicles is slated in on the third quarter of 2026. The developers certainly see it too extensive developer updates for the coming months. The boss even admitted it was unclear whether the next beta will take place this year. So yeah, that's good. Hey, start of phase 3 of Alpha 2 by Ashes of Creation on August 26, 2025. But they just got their new economic developer. So let's see. Arcade Chronicles. In November 2024, there was an announcement the release would be postponed from 25 to 26. In the summer of 25, they stated development was complete and they would primarily work on improvements and optimizations. So this is actually really good. It is actually really good that they're they claim they're completely done with the game. And they're now just working on optimizations. It would be nice if they had the whole game done, if they would like show us, if they would let us see it. Also would be nice if videos wouldn't pop up there. So Arcade Chronicles next year. I don't know why this keeps switching to German. Monsters and Memories. Monsters and Memories aims to bring back the old school feeling in MMOs. Monsters and Memories. Monsters and Memories will enter early access in quarter 1 of 2026. Read our overview below. The game will undergo alpha and beta testing prior to entering early access. Our goal with early access is to expand our game world and its content, not to use the time as extended testing phase. Subscription will be $15 a month. Servers that go live as part of early access will not be reset or wiped. It is important to note that early access will not be a head start period, but the initial launch of our game. See, right here, this is that is so good right there. This is, I literally just said, games need to just be clear. Games need to be clear. Servers that go live as part of early access will not be reset or wiped. It is important to note that early access will not be a head start period, but the initial launch of our game. New servers will go live as needed, and once we've completed the early access, we'll launch fresh servers with all its content available from day one. Boom. That is the answer to like 50% of all your new player questions. Are there going to be wipes? Is this a soft launch? Are you going to launch new servers at actual hard launch? You can already register on our accounts page and read the game manual prior to playing. Boom. I like it. I like it a lot. You mean a website that actually answers questions? Public servers are open for our November playtest. This will be from the 1st of November and extended to the 12th of November to include Veterans Day. If you are missing a corpse from a previous test, you can speak to the priest at any gate of both cities. That might give me something. That might give me something to look at. The MMO behind which EverQuest and DCUO veterans are among is set to employ a submodel. So I might test that. Stars Reach. Okay, free to play with paid early access and head start. Imagine No Man's Sky, but as a large sandbox MMO, and you have an idea of what Stars Reach is supposed to be. In other words, the developers are planning a procedurally generated universe of hundreds of worlds that feel alive, where you can meet other players at any time that can be transformed by you. Okay. This just looks bad. This just looks fucking terrible. That doesn't look terrible. Are you reaching for that? Oh, then give me that back. This just looks fucking terrible. That doesn't look too terrible. The first part, I don't know. Why not just play No Man's Sky then? Pretty good point, right? Why not just play No Man's Sky? That's like mesh on that page. All right, we're gonna take a skip on that one. Bella Torres. A realistic medieval scenario with cutting-edge graphics from Unreal Engine 5 and a double-digit million budget. When Bella Torres first was introduced as Project N1, the MMO had some strong arguments up its sleeves. All the more so because a playable version should be available in the same year. Nothing came of that. The good news, the beta took place. The bad news, the trailer and testing phase rather discouraged many genre fans. Particularly the slow, sluggish combat without defined classes received a lot of criticism. In addition, the poor performance certainly needs some optimization. Ouch. Fucking ouch. Apparently it was launched. It was launched in April of 2025. Yeah, apparently it's on Fox Games. If your combat is sluggish, it might as well be a death sentence for the game. Yeah. Is it weird to not like MMOs going with all the flashy, epilepsy-inducing animations for abilities? I always imagine my screen during 40-plus player encounters. It has to look like shit. I generally turn off all other player effects. I only keep hostile effects on. Scars of Honor. The development of Scars of Honor began in 2021. The first assets looked so much like World of Warcraft that the MMO was quickly branded as a cheap WoW clone for PC and mobile. The project is growing and thriving despite a failed Kickstarter campaign in 2024. Okay. If you fail your Kickstarter, I want to say this. So you have a product. You have a product, and you go to Kickstarter, and you succeed, right? Then obviously it's go ahead. If you go and you fail, you have to ask two questions. The first question is, was your goal reasonable? Your goal was reasonable and you failed. Stop development. Stop development. If you had a reasonable goal and you failed your Kickstarter, you don't have the grassroots foundation. If your goal was unreasonable, ironically, if your goal was unreasonable, then this would be a potential to go ahead anyway. But you need to then focus on the foundation of why you don't have a grassroots campaign. Ashes of Creation managed to get 3.2 million, I believe, in adjusted dollars from Kickstarter, just around 20,000 backers. If you succeed your Kickstarter, take the money and don't deliver on your promises. I learned this neat trick from some game devs. Well, you have to be careful doing a Kickstarter. I think Intrepid Studios, based on everything I know now, I think Intrepid Studios made a giant mistake going to Kickstarter when they did, because the ball started rolling down the hill. And they were never able to get back in front of it, and the ball has just been running on its own. A huge problem is you got 20,000+ people excited, and you supposedly were 2.5 years from launch. And I have to completely laugh at Intrepid, because they can't keep their word about anything. They can't keep their word, and they don't understand that actions at this point, the initiative has changed. More people are against Ashes of Creation than are for Ashes of Creation. 130,000 testers, but you're lucky if you can get 2,000 to show up to test. That means you can't even maintain player retention for people that have paid upwards of $500. Remember when they said we plan all our social media 6 months in advance? So you knew 6 months ago you were gonna delay this month's live stream twice. You said that you were gonna stop developing for showcasing, and you were just gonna develop. 2 weeks in a row you had to say the phrase, "It needs more time to cook." Well, if it needs more time to cook, then it wasn't ready to be shown. So why are you showing it? In marketing, What do I recommend? I already know what the big announcement will be. The big announcement is, here's Harbinger, which we couldn't get ready for the 31st of October, which we couldn't get ready for the 7th of November, which if it wasn't ready for the 7th of November, it's not ready now. It's going to be cobbled together. See, in marketing, the marketing person, I don't think anyone actively following expects this to be about Harbingers. It's exactly what it'll be about. They're taking down their... I've claimed Xbox Steam release free-to-play weekends. Those are... Let me help you out. Those are all stupid people. It won't go on Steam. They can't afford to go on Steam. Ashes of Creation cannot afford to go onto Steam because they simply can't make enough money based on having to pay people a 15% off the top referral. Because remember, this is where you already have an issue. If you have a $14.99 monthly sub, right? So you have a $14.99 monthly sub. You owe 75 cents to Epic. Okay. Price drop to $60 will be announced though. No, it won't. If they do that, Steven will have pissed off even more people. If they do that, if they price drop, it rings the bell that we're broke and we can't continue developing. We need an infusion of cash. If they do price drop, it's because they need to show their fourth quarter books have a big surge of cash so they can secure their next loan. Yeah, if he drops it to 60, everyone who bought it for 100 in the past 89 days will ask for a refund. So right off the bat, when you have a normal Ashes of Creation account, right? If that Ashes of Creation account is from a referraled account, they charge $14.99 for the monthly sub. They only get $11.99 out of it if that person was referred. If you go to Steam at $14.99, you still owe Epic 75 cents off the top. And you're gonna owe Steam $4.50 for the first 10 million you make on Steam. Then it drops to 25%, then it drops to 20%. So off the bat, Intrepid would only be making $9.74 from a sub on Steam. And then best case scenario, after they made however many millions of dollars, they would be making $11.24. Best case scenario, they make $11.24. They still make less on Steam, best case scenario, than they do just mobilizing content creators to spread the word by about 60 cents a person. I think Intrepid is in such bad shape that, first of all, like, I don't even know what that icon is. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Yeah, it looks like Path of Exile. After the layoffs at New World, the boss of the LOL MMO has an offer that could dry some tears. Oh. There we go. But anyway, what you're gonna see next week, and you could be right. You could be right. Maybe maybe Intrepid Studios starts offering, starts offering their founders packs for $60. If they do that, number one, you know they're broke. Number two, you know the game has failed. If they do that, you know the game has failed because they know they've then have written off the 128,000 testers that aren't testing. If you feel that you need to, because what you're doing then, right, is you have 130,000 testers by your own words. And I'm going to be generous and say you have about 2,000 testers testing. That means you have 128,000 people that have fucked off and can't be bothered to test your game. And not testing it must be interpreted as a complete and total lack of satisfaction. Now, somebody might disagree with me. And you can, but then I'd like to see you spin 128,000 people. Well, not everybody wants to completely saturate themselves in all the knowledge of the game. Sure, a few. The rest of some of these people spent $500 for their testing packages. Do they have at least 2,000 hours of testing? No, that's a fact. That's a factoid. That's a fact you put up on the board and you say, what does that mean? They're going to drop the price. Steven says they're doing a big advertising push because they want more testers. You have 128,000 people's worth of feedback you could get. You could send an email on your mailing list. You could create a poll. Instead of the director of communication being proud that they or on TikTok. I'm sorry, you missed that boat. you missed the boat. The only thing I can think about is why they're pushing their TikTok is because they want to get their TikTok account into the creator program so that they can funnel money to their development, which they should have done with Twitch. They should have done with YouTube. If I was going to set up a game studio, I absolutely would set up my income streams, right? My Twitch channel would be monetized. My YouTube channel would be monetized, right? The Kick or Kick, yeah, but you'd stay on Twitch. Your TikTok channel, you monetize that. You put out a video that gets 1 million views. That's income. Steven explicitly said that they need more testers. I don't think anyone in their right mind would think what they have right now is worth $100 to some guy who's never heard of Ashes before. Steven said they need more testers. They don't need new testers. They need to get this pool of people back above the line. Again, they don't need to go out and find people. No, I know what he said. I'm not disputing. They need more testers. I know what he said. They have the testers. They don't need to go get new testers. What Steven doesn't like, and he's going to have to, like, if you've ever listened to Triple H in his interviews now that he's had his heart attack, there was an instance in the WWF, when it was still the WWF, infamous curtain call scene where Kevin Nash Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, after a live show, they did a curtain call in the middle of the ring because Kevin and Scott were leaving for WCW. Well, Triple H was set to win King of the Ring that year. And after the curtain call, Shawn Michaels is the champ. He can't be punished. Can't punish a champ. Can't punish Scott and Kevin. Their contracts are over. So Vince brings in Paul, Triple H, Paul, and sits him down. He's not his son-in-law yet. And he said, what's going to happen here is you're going to have to get used to eating plates full of shit. And you're going to have to learn to like the taste. And Vince even said to him, or if you want, I can arrange it so your contract has a loophole and you can leave and you can go back to WCW. And Paul's like, nope, I'm just going to have to learn to eat plates and plates of shit and like the taste of it. That's what I don't think the creative director at Intrepid Studios has figured out. He's going to have to get used to the idea of eating plates full of shit, because 128,000 approximately out of 130,000 people don't like his product. Your answer to that isn't let me go get new testers. The answer to that is let me court the testers that have already paid an awful lot of money to be in this testing, and let me figure out why they don't like it. And if you don't do that, then you're not really concerned with what's going on with your testing. If you do that, then what you're concerned about is money. And if you're concerned about money, then that's what happens when you don't have the first fucking idea of how to get something accomplished. You originally had a plan for 100 employees and then 200 employees. And now you went north of 250 employees, which I don't believe. I don't believe Intrepid Studios has more than 250 employees. I've done 3 videos in a series of Masquerading the Truth, where I asked questions. I said, okay, you said how many employees you had here, but then on this federal paperwork you filled out, it doesn't match. You said however many you have here, but over here it doesn't match. So I can't disprove you have 250, but I can show that 2 other times in history you masqueraded how many employees you have. So I don't believe, first of all, I don't believe there's 250 people working at Intrepid Studios. Second of all, if there is 250 people working on a project, how did you fund that? Because doubling your staff more than doubles your burn rate. And if you're not familiar with burn rate is how much money do I have for 100 people for 5 years? Well, unfortunately, if you go up to 200 people, that doesn't just take you down to 2.5 years. That can take you to 2 years. Because as you add on another 100 employees, you don't necessarily add on more bottom people. You have X number of bottom people. When you double the count, you're not just getting another junior. For the junior you have, you get another junior. No, you tend to get specialists to fill in gaps in capability. You said they just got to start delivering on their original design and testers will come back. No, they won't. They don't have to start delivering on their original design to get their testers back. As I said to Steven 5 years ago, you got to do the big mea culpa, man. You got to apologize. But for Steven, I think he's physically allergic to the idea of apologizing. I don't think he believes he's wrong. I don't believe ever can believe he's wrong. I believe his idea of things that he said is sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. The problem with faking it till you make it is if you apologize and you admit you were wrong, that's the first card in the house of cards that makes the whole illusion collapse. You were wrong. You made bad calls. You're Burke from Aliens. It was a bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call. It wasn't a bad call. It was a fucking disastrous call. You once said on a Discord in good discussion that I think people just want to see Intrepid say sorry for some of the deception. And Steven got mad. He wrote a long ass reply. You're right. Steven gets mad. That's why I haven't spoken on their Discord in 2 years. Over 2.5 years. I think it might be 3 years now. That game is so goddamn late. I don't fucking know how late that game is. It's at least 2 years. I haven't spoken on their Discord. Why? Because I have no need to. And yet I'm still mentioned on their Discord. My name is mentioned on their Discord over 14,000 times. So I'm literally mentioned 14,000 times. That people got a problem. Instead of people turning around and holding the developer to heel and saying, hey, you've cut the systems by a lot. And here's Intrepid Ashes of Creation cannot possibly launch in 2026. It cannot possibly launch in 2027. You don't even have the classes. I'm sorry. You don't have the archetypes developed to level 50. And then you still got to build all of the classes to level 50, all of the augments, the social organizations, the religions. That right there alone is hundreds of thousands of man hours. You have 250 employees. You have 500,000 man hours a year. And the systems I just named off. You have to do archetypes to 50, classes 25 to 50, because classes, unless something's changed, you pick your class at 25. The augment system, social organizations, and religions. That's hundreds of thousands of man hours alone. Not to mention they've got to completely rebuild the economy. I just don't, people that are putting Ashes on the 2026 release calendar, I just don't see it. Now, I can see them doing an early access. That's the new thing every game company is doing. I could see them doing an early access. But no, it's not early access. It's not early access. It's testing. How is it not? Because it's testing. Because we know for a fact those servers are going to be wiped. That this isn't like the other game that we just looked at that has said we're soft launching with early access. Yeah, and they call it Alpha 3. Early access to a game is like when they're not going to wipe, when it's a soft launch, when you're going to maintain your progression. And where Steven boxed himself in is he said at one point, subscription time won't start until the game launches. Well, the last game that tried to do sub time during testing fucking died. If I Google definition of early access, I see exact description of Ashes of Creation. Right. A game is in development expected to change. Immediate, incomplete, playable version. Playable version. That's the piece you're missing. It's not a playable version. It's a testable version. Because it's going to wipe. If it wasn't going to wipe, then if Shoal and the other server were going to stay live and continue to grow, then it would be early access. This is paid testing. Because you're not going to retain your progression. I don't think you can properly test Ashes without approaching it as if it was a game. Here's the thing, if you think it's semantics, you shouldn't be in the conversation. Because if you have that mindset, you shouldn't be a tester. That guild that's there, that was freaking the fuck out over, I saw the response to the node siege that went sideways. And people's first response was to go to Discord and freak the fuck out. Why are you that rowdy about, you should be documenting. You should be writing it up. The two key people, the defending mayor and the launching siege person, shouldn't worry about that the siege is going to fail or the siege is borked. They should be gathering as much data as they can. If you're playing it as a game, you're not testing a product. And I have had this mentality forever. If it was early access and your sub time was counting, then it would be a game. It would be a product. It would be launched. Regardless of what marketing hand wave Jedi trick you try to put on it, the moment you're collecting a monthly sub, then it's a finished product. When Steven tried to do APOC is just a testing environment. Really? Then why the fuck is there a battle pass in it? If it's a testing environment, but you have a battle pass. Didn't Steven explicitly say they won't do any marketing for the alpha test, and that if they do marketing, it would be beta or a game? Yes, he said that. Steven also explicitly said that the game would launch before 2020. Steven also explicitly said the game would have 103 nodes. Steven also explicitly said nodes would have 6 stages. Steven also said the game would have a player-driven economy, but then introduced Glint. Do you want me to go down the list? I mean, if you want to go down the list of it's this because Steven said so, how many other times did Steven say something and then walk back? Also, advertising. He said they won't do advertising for the test. They went to PAX, that's marketing. They went to Gamescom, that's marketing. They have a website, marketing, mailing list, marketing, monthly live stream, marketing, Twitter account, marketing, all that's marketing. They literally had a person on their staff called the community marketing lead until she became the director of communications. They have at least one person on their team with a degree in marketing. Marketing is every bit of contact your company has with the outside world. Every bit of contact. Advertising is marketing. Marketing is not advertising. Public relations, they used to have a public relations company. They don't anymore. That's a form of marketing. It's a very specialized form of marketing. It's crisis management, but it's a very specific form of marketing. If we start saying every game that's in testing is in early access, then we set the expectation that there won't be wipes. Everybody should, first of all, people shouldn't want a game available for years in testing, because then it's never going to be competitive. You are never going to have a competitive game if people are able to test it for a year, know every single trick in and out, and then all of a sudden you're going to try to make it a competitive game. You just shouldn't do that. Now, if you don't give a shit about it being a competitive game, but like, there are guides for things that are brand new content for games that have been out for 6 hours. Because those games have been given to certain people, and those people have built entire guide websites. They've built 50 videos, and then the game goes live, and they have all their videos timed for release so that it takes you 4 hours to get to this point in the game. So 5 hours after the game goes live, the guide video walkthrough for this thing that's a challenge goes live. Players have given up trying to solve things. Players want to go to a guide, but then they complain when a guide's available. I shouldn't need a guide to do this. Well, you don't need a guide to do it. Somebody else did it and wrote the guide. And if somebody else did it and wrote the guide, so can you. But this is, I saw this and I'll show it. Can't really please people this day. It's exactly like with some other games. If you give players the option for something, they'll hate you for it. Well, yeah, you're right. It's like somebody got mad at me, like actually mad at me when they found out I play Crusader Kings at speed 0-1 and maybe 2. It takes me weeks to play a campaign in Crusader Kings. Like, I have my own imposed rules. I write my own rules. I am trying to figure out if I can write these as a mod. And then somebody was actually mad. They weren't even in my multiplayer. They asked the question. They said, "What speed does everybody play on?" And everybody's like 3, 4, 4, 5, always 5, and they got 0/1, lots of pausing, lots of looking. And they're like, "Why the hell would you play at 0-1? Because I like it." Like, people get mad. They're like, Souls games shouldn't have an easy mode. Why? Why should a Souls game not have an easy mode? How does it hurt you? How does it hurt you if somebody needs to downgrade it to an easier level because that's their highest level of that's their highest level of play? Or they beg people in World Chat to tell them how to do it and complain about not wanting to watch a guide. Right. How do I do this? Look, man, this is really complicated. It's going to be easier if you watch this guide. Well, I don't want to watch a guide. Okay, well, sorry, then I can't help you. Well, why can't you just tell me? Because I can only type out the same amount of characters in a fucking tweet, and it's going to take me about 10 texts to spell this out for you. And guess what? I'm not really in the fucking, I want to sit here for 4 minutes writing this shit up. And if I happen to go a couple of characters over, it doesn't send my text. Here's the link to the guide. I do understand when it comes to games that some things should be decided by the designer itself. If the designer wants to let people choose between playing like X or Y, why would you cry about that? It's an option you can choose to do your way. Right. Like, abso-fucking-lutely. It's an option you can choose. If you want to play through Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered on easy because you want to relive the story, but you don't want the fucking ass pain, then do that. Then play through on easy. I'm not going to judge you. Now, I will say I played through Tactician. I couldn't beat it on Tactician because of choices I had made. I probably could have beaten the last fight on Tactician, but there's just one there's just one fight that's a little difficult, and I will eventually do a playthrough on Tactician because I want to beat it. But oh, that's the other game. I think I own that game. I think I actually own it, and I got frustrated with it, and I never finished it. I do have it. I got frustrated with it. Steam re-releases bother me. Like, why is it we can't get the original versions of games? Oh yeah, Christmas songs, man. My playlist. I have 5.5 hours of Christmas music on Spotify. This is the time of the year, like, that's really make or break for yeah, I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link to the full playlist. That's a link to one song. That's the list to the full play. That's the full playlist. But yeah, it is make or break time for us, Christmas music wise. We have a lot of Christmas music on the record label. We have a lot. I think the only thing we have more than Christmas music is, I think we might have more fantasy music. Yeah. We have a lot more fantasy music. Some of these are singles, but that one turned out really well. Tyler did a bunch of singles. I never released it as an album. Christmas 101 with PGN. That's right. We do most of our year. We do most of our year's plays between now and the day after Christmas. Although lately, I do want to thank all the people that share PGN music around. In the last, like, we've moved up to, we're approaching 75,000 plays a month on Spotify on a normal month. It's been a really good ramp up. I wish I could show. doesn't let me. It doesn't let me do it. Because that's not. So we were averaging about like 500 to 1,000 plays a day until last Christmas. And then right after last Christmas, the huge Christmas surge, we started averaging about 1,500 to 3,000 plays a day. Like, we get a lot of random 5,000 day plays. The Japanese seem to love the one jazz album. I'm not even joking. I have one jazz album called Soulmate Silhouette, and it gets played. It gets fucking jammed to. Like, this is such an interesting little demographic. It's so weird. I have more Japanese listeners than I have American listeners. So, yeah, the Japanese love lounge jazz type music. So, I'm really thankful for the Japanese. I tell this story about it's sometimes it's gonna be luck, and you always have to acknowledge that sometimes it's just going to be luck. My one of my albums got included, one of my songs, not even the whole album, one of my songs got included on a playlist. And I saw it because you can track, if you're looking at your Spotify for artists, it'll tell you where these playlists, which playlists are generating, or which playlists include your songs. Well, there was a playlist that I was scrolling through, and I was like, that's not my playlist. And I saw it, and I clicked on it, and it had one of my tracks on it. And I said, oh, that's cool. The next month is when the jazz album started overtaking Embers in the Wind. And I was completely shocked. Embers in the Wind was our number one song for the first like 3 years of the record label. And then very quickly after, Ocean Breeze Caffeine ended up on that Japanese playlist. Ocean Breeze Caffeine fucking blew up. It fucking went crazy nuts. And then you can see all the other tracks on that album. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of my top 10 performing songs were done by Mikhail off of one album. Like, you can see this as a crazy stat. In the year before, 23 to 24, the song got played 1,600 times. 24 to today, it's been played 86,000 times. So I say to people, in all forms of content creation, keep making your content, because people can't share what they can't find. You were thinking today, do you think video games train our brain to operate on the assumption of fairness, that perfect input will result in perfect output, even when it might not in reality. I think video games train your brain to operate on a assumption, but not necessarily a fairness. And I think you're kind of onto something, but I think video games can teach you, even if you perform perfectly, you might not always win. And you can sometimes win even when you perform imperfectly. For example, you take a game like Mortal Kombat, let's go 3. You can perform perfectly and not make a single mistake and still lose to Noob Saibot. Noob was my jam. You can perform perfectly, not make a single mistake. But because I performed perfectly, my perfect is better than your perfect. Also, you can beat somebody. You could beat Sub-Zero, not because Sub-Zero, not because you're better than them, because they make a mistake. They throw the upward ice when you're already frozen, because they missed the jab. So the combo is forward ice, jab, jab, upward ice, because then it resets your frozen timer. But if you don't hit the second jab, you don't break your frozen. So the upward ice then freezes Sub-Zero. So you didn't play better than me. I made a mistake. Games aren't always fair. Dark Soul games tracks your inputs, and the NPC AI tracks your position. Whenever a mob boss does a charge up right when they finish it, they will always face your exact position. Correct. You are correct. You don't play fighting games, but that perfect block in Street Fighter event is still the greatest event in gaming history. My brain is trying to bring up the perfect block, and I'm not able to mentally bring it up, but I'll go with Combo Breaker and Primal Roar is much the same thing. You're in the middle of a combo and then the person knows how to combo break. Well, there ain't nothing you can do about it. You're throwing your combo perfectly. I do think that video games do give all you remember about Street Fighter is the old arcade game where you could destroy the car. I liked Street Fighter 2, I think, with Vega. I used to piss people off because I knew how to grab the fence as Vega, and only Vega can grab the fence. And so when there's a person you're not good enough to beat, you open up early and you do a little bit of damage to him, and then you climb the fence and go all the way into the corner, and you just run the time down. Be like, I can't beat you, but I have more health than you, so it's a win for me. Go fuck off. But, no, I think video game developers need to have a psychologist on their team. I think video game developers need to put a psychologist on the team to answer the question of how is this going to make the players feel? How is this going to irritate the players in a healthy way? Is this going to be healthy anxiety, or is this going to be unhealthy anxiety? They do have one, but sadly it's for gacha games and how to trap players and make gacha addicts or gambling addicts, or how to make them spend more money. Yeah, but they don't have a psychologist on board to do that. I mean, some of them might, but for the most part, what a psychologist would tell, a good psychologist would tell the company, this is a bad way to do it. You don't want to spike money out of a person. You don't want to spike money out of a person. You want to slow roll money out of a person. You want to slow roll money out of a person. It's a lot easier to get $1 million out of somebody, 50,000 at a time. I mean, sure, there's the big con that takes you for everything, but those are throwaways. Those are 1%. This works 1% of the time. For example, I used to be a manager of a leather coat store. We sold coats, pants, vests, wallets, belts. We didn't sell like purses and we didn't sell shoes. And I would say to people all the time, we had behind the counter, one side of the back of the counter was leather lotion. The other side behind the counter was the weatherproofing spray. Those bottles cost us about 10 cents. We sold them for $4.95. That was our biggest profit margin. That was our large soda. That is where you want to make that is where you want to get the conversions. So I would say to people all the time, I wore a leather duster. I have 3 leather jackets. I used to have 4, but I let a girlfriend keep one. I had a bomber. I had a full-length leather duster on the bike. I had a 3/4 really, really nice 3/4. And then I have this like waist-length jacket that I really like. I used to say to people all the time, I said, okay, here's the deal. If you've never have you ever owned a leather jacket before? They said no. I said, all right, here's the deal. When it comes to owning a leather jacket, the type of leather jacket that you're buying is this type of leather. Whether it's lambskin, sheepskin, or cowhide. I said, that particular jacket is going to need to be cared for with this product. I said, if you don't believe me, I will go in back and I will get my jacket and I will get one of the jackets off the rack and I'll show you the difference. I said, this is what I use on my jackets. I almost always converted them at that point. But some people would say, like, yeah, let me see the demonstration. So I'd go in back and I'd get my jacket and the bottom of my duster would be dirty. And I would say, this is the bottom of my duster. It's the bottom of the motorcycle, the jacket I wear on my motorcycle. I said, watch this. I take a paper towel, put some leather lotion on it, and I would clean a spot of my jacket. And just dirt and grime and filth would be coming up, but the leather looks good. I'd say, I use this. If I don't clean my coat while I'm at work all the way around for people, I'll clean this tonight when I get home. So this jacket is like 8 years old. The guy's like, your jacket looks brand new. I said, yeah, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't treat your jacket with this product, you're going to be back in here in 2 years and you're going to be mad at me because your jacket's falling apart. But you come in here every couple of months and you buy a $4.95 bottle of conditioner and cleaner for your jacket. Jacket will last 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not going to fucking sell 5 leather jackets to a person over the course of 10 years. I'm not going to do that. But shit, I was constantly having to call corporate and be like, send me more leather lotion. And the president of the company, his name was Jeff, he came out once and he was like, where is all this leather lotion going? I said, just hang out for a bit, man. It's Friday, getting close to quitting time for the day shift employees and it's payday. I said, just hang out for a minute. Fucking 5 o'clock, 5:15. 3 or 4 people come in. What's up, Jay? Hey, what's up, man? Oh, you need a bottle of lotion? Yeah, I gotta take care of my coat, man. Gotta keep it looking good. I had people come in. They just got to work and they were all muddy and dirty with it. I'd be like, hey, man, I'll tell you what. I know you gotta go to work. Just leave your jacket with me. I'll take care of it. It's gonna be $4.95 for the bottle of cleaner, but leave it with me. I'll take care of it. I got nothing the fuck else to do. Unless I had customers, I take care of it. They come back at lunch. People would bring me a Coke, bring me a candy bar, bring me a cookie from Mrs. Fields Cookies. Be like, yeah, here's your jacket. I need the $5.25, whatever it was with tax. people that throw like 10 bucks down. Keep the change. It's about making the money where you can make the money. That's what a psychologist... Yeah, I need the $5 in the Coke and the cookie, thanks. Now, if you had a different type of coat, what I would tell you is this an outside coat? My duster, leather lotioned, and then waterproof sprayed. But you spray over the lotion so you don't dry out the leather. Biker coat, you don't do anything with. You don't do anything with it. And I tell people that. Don't put that lotion shit on this. Don't do that. How do I clean it? Soft rag. Just a lightly damped soft rag, and then dry it with a soft rag. That's why I had customers that had come in, and what they did is they'd bring their friends. And you said you spent $5,000 on Path of Exile. You don't pay to win stuff in other games. You love that game. I just want to ask, over how long did you spend the $5K? Did you drop $5K the day you started Path of Exile? Or did they slow fish $5K out of you? Because I'm willing to bet they slow fished the $5K out of you. I'm willing to bet you didn't start the game and drop $500. Nope, over a long time. I've spent $700 or $800 on Once Human. One of these days, the next time we move servers, knowing that the permanent servers actually work now, once we move servers again, then the next time I'll build something nice. Now that I know I can, I'm happy with what I built, but now that I know that it works, I'll build something functional again. And I'll decorate it nice. I might decorate, I don't really have any Christmas shit. But in the future, now that we know the permanent servers work, I probably won't live out where I live. I'll probably live somewhere else because don't need to live there anymore because we don't have to get everything done in a compacted short period of time. I gave Ashes of Creation about $1,200. Now, I will say for Ashes of Creation, because I don't like to just shit on a company indiscriminately. If the company is doing good things, then I like to give kudos to a company when they're doing good things because they deserve it. I think that what they did with their inventory system, right? I think building, I think what they built for this on their website is very, very cool, right? I think where the problem is, and this is another one of those areas where you want to say to them exactly what the fuck have you been doing, is every one of those blank stamps is an item that I own that they haven't finished. So I love the fact that I absolutely love the fact. Yeah, the ones that you see the stamp for, the ones that you actually see, they exist, and if I went onto the testing server, they would be there. But all the other ones, no. I want to give big credit to a company that got something working. But this is... Do they have a preview? They do. So let me... So when you click... So you got this, right? And then if I click on one of them, it pops up the description. The biggest thing with my 5K and Path of Exile is even knowing that I spent that much, I don't regret it. If you can get someone to spend that much money on mostly nothing and they don't regret it, you figured something out. Well, you're right. You have. Like, I've spent, I don't even fucking know how much I've spent on Crusader Kings 3. Let me see if I can switch my account over to my other account that doesn't have all the DLC. Let me see if let me see how much the full fucking game would be if I bought the whole thing. So Crusader Kings would be $171. $171 for the whole thing. $171. Stellaris is Stellaris to buy everything right now is $274 to buy everything. Or you can subscribe to it for $9.99 a month and get all of the DLC. Yeah, there are, and what you have to realize is there are people that play gacha games that easily spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know a person in ArcAge, they used to just send me a fuck ton of Apex and tell me to make their gear. They were an anesthesiologist. They said, I deal with bullshit all day, every day, a stressful job all day, every day. I don't want, it's like, here's $10,000 worth of Apex. Make my gear. There was a doctor that had 3 accounts in Perfect World that had the $20,000 spent achievement. And people are like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Yeah, but that's the equivalent of you spending $200. So, anyway, I'm going to take my first break here. This is the time where I'm going to grab you all by the ankles and shake you upside down and say, I do have to do, somebody donated after I did my matching donation yesterday. But that's not it. Well, it is that, but it should be that one. Nope. That one? Yeah. So I do have to match the donation that came in after I did my matching, and I have to do my personal donation, but I would like to see that bar start moving. So, I'm going to take a quick break, and if you can donate. If you can't donate, then thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll talk more in a few minutes. Oh, I caught him. Some of you may remember this guy. Some of you that have been a part of my community for a few years, you know that last year, my Humane Society, we used to be fosters for the Humane Society, but we have foster I have your brother, it's okay. We foster fail, but we fostered, but we foster fail so often, that's when you adopt them and you don't give them back. This guy was one of 6. He was a litter of 6 that were high-risk kittens, so they split the 6 up, 2 each, to their 3 families that can give 24/7 care, and we're one of those families. And unfortunately, his brother Akio died the next day. But this guy, this is my buddy, he's a champ. This is Imperio. He survived 3 ICU stays. The rest of his litter died of kitten death syndrome, and he survived. He is the smallest of my cats, but he is the king shit. He's the baby, he's the youngest, but he runs this bitch. He is the king. He has to go into a Tupperware box that has a nebulizer. We put a hole in the bottom of a Tupperware box, piped a nebulizer into it. So he's got really, really, really bad asthma. And so although it's hard to tell now, we have to watch his behavior, not his coughing. Because if you're petting another cat, he'll come up to you and he'll be like, and so for a while we would stop petting the other cat and start getting ready to treat him. And then about 5 minutes later, he runs off and it's like, oh, you little shit. And so now if he comes up to and coughs, we just say, that's okay. We watch his behavior. And if he's sluggish or if he's curled up in a ball and he won't play, and then we dump him in his box. Yeah, he learned to fake it. Little fucking jerk. It's like, dude. It's like, come on, man. Speaking of people surviving, my aunt survived her surgery. My aunt is in really bad shape. My aunt is in really, really shit shape. She fell. She's in her 80s. I don't know how old everybody is, but I know she's in her 80s. She fell. She compound fractured her right leg, her right femur, her left humerus, and her shoulder. And the first 4 days in the hospital, they couldn't set anything because they couldn't put her under general anesthesia because her blood pressure was shit. They managed to do the surgery yesterday. And yeah, we'll do that. You asked a few minutes ago, but I was away. Where exactly do the donations for the Extralife go to? That is a great question, and I'm more than happy to answer that question. Extralife is the charity fundraising arm for the Children's Miracle Network. And here is the pre-canned blurb, but I will go over that. Unlike a lot of charity organizations where they take a cut on the overhead, Extralife does not take a cut on the overhead. 100% of the proceeds go directly to the hospital's budget. So Extralife is set up that you can fundraise for any Children's Miracle Network hospital. Now, when I started doing this 7 years ago, I've always done charity work. I've it's just always been a thing. My charity organizations of choice are usually anything to do with animals. I used to do Shriners Burn Unit when I was up in Chicago. I raised money for them, and then Burn Unit for kids specifically. And then down here was 65 Roses, which is the cystic fibrosis organization. About 7 years ago, none of the donated money goes in anyone's personal pocket. No, they're not like Goodwill where there's a whole team of executives that are getting paid. Children's Miracle Network is fully funded by the hospitals are fully funded by Extralife. Extralife doesn't take any of the donated money to have a bunch of fat cat executives on the charity board. Sometimes you'll see gamers get rewards. Like, we get when we raise our money, right? We get our achievement coins. Those all get donated. Organizations donate these. I have a dice box around here somewhere. I have a carpet. This is really funny, right? I got this a couple of years ago, and it just stays in my office, right? I have the Extralife charity rug because we raised however much money that year. Well, a company donated these. A little movie theater marquee board. Like, I've got all sorts of like little bric-a-brac swag. I've got a bunch of these. This is 2021s. But they donate it. People donate that so that they're rewards. Somebody once asked a question in charity work. Say you're going to donate say you're going to donate 2,000 rugs. So you're going to donate 2,000 rugs, and the total cost of each rug, rug shipping, handling, processing, let's say each rug works out to be $150 total. Well, somebody would say, why would you not just donate the 300,000 directly to the Children's Miracle Network and do without making the rugs, building the rugs, whatever? Well, the problem is you're going to donate 2,000 rugs, but you're going to set the threshold to get a rug at, say, $2,500. So you're going to drive $5 million in donations. Now, some of the people that are going to get your prize or your kicker or your reward or your whatever, they were going to make that amount of money anyway. But there's a lot of channels that would be at 2,100, and then they're like, well, I kind of want that thing. So they're going to do the extra $400 push. They're going to push to make more money. It's not an entirely bad idea. We used to have authors donate like 10 copies of their book when I raised money for Shriners. Authors would donate like 10 copies of their book or 5 copies of their book, and they'd all be autographed. And then we'd either raffle those, or sometimes an author would come in and say, I'm going to donate 6 copies of my book. It's a $39.99 hardcover edition. I'm gonna donate 6. I'm gonna autograph 1. Well, the autographed one would usually raise a couple of $100. And a lot of people know they're overpaying for shit at charity auctions, but what they're doing is they're donating money to charity. Like, we're the Humane Society I work with and my wife works with. They of course pay the coordinator gets paid, the doctor that comes in and does the work gets paid, the med tech, the vet tech that lives on site gets her whole life paid for by the Humane Society. Because if not, you wouldn't, like, we're fortunate enough when Imperial got sick he was dying at 2:00 in the morning. We called the emergency vet number, which was the person, and she's like, oh, I'm already on site. I have other ICU patients, just bring him in. So instead of having to wait until like 7 in the morning to bring back a dying kitten, he got there in 25 minutes. He was in rough shape. That was the second time. And she was already on site. She lives in the trailer her trailer is on the property. So she's either in the ICU trailer or she's in her own trailer. She's always there. That's an organization where I'm totally okay with them because none of them are making like 6 figures. The vet gets paid to come there. The vet tech is making enough money, place to live, utilities paid for. Those are the people I respect. I don't respect places like Goodwill, where at one point Goodwill was only 5% of the money was going to like the charity part. Like, I hate Goodwill. You donate a bunch of shit to Goodwill and then you go in a week later and you find the shit you donated being sold for $9.99, $7.99. It's like, guys, I understand part of the problem. If you don't sell it for some amount of money, then you don't have the money to pay for employees. You can't give it away because people will just take the giveaway and then sell it. It's like, it's so hard to do charity work anymore because everybody sees, well, first of all, it's so hard to do charity work because everyone sees charity work as a scam. But this is a really horrible year. Like, I know people that rely on food banks. I know people that rely on food banks. Now, unfortunately, some of these people have relied on food banks too many years in a row. Woman got mad. She waited in line for 3 hours at the food bank with 5 kids. And by the time she got to the front, she got a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, a sack of potatoes, a couple of cans of stuff, and gallon of milk, loaf of bread, sack of potatoes, a couple of canned things, and I think a bag of carrots. And they said, this is what you'll be getting. And she's like, do you not see the 5 kids in the car? And they're like, this is all we have to give you. Like, this is, everybody gets the same box today. This is what we have. And she's like, well, I just waited 3 hours for this. And they're like, what? Why the fuck are you arguing with the charity food bank about how little you're getting? It's, if they don't have donations, they have to take the food and split it among everyone. Yeah, that video that the Children's Miracle Network did a few years ago still gets to me too. They broke down the cost. Donate anything you can, even your change. Our cost on a child-size oxygen mask is 50 cents. This year, though, with the economy being so bad and people being so, I can't do, normally I'll do charity by guilt. Normally I have no problem doing charity by guilt. But the number of people I'm talking to from my own community every single day, where people are like, all right, Jay, I need to learn how to stretch 2.5, I need to stretch 2.5 pounds of ground beef to 3 meals. Damn. Like, how much money do you have? None. I have, like, go take me a picture of your pantry. What the shit do you have? Like, people are like, Jay, I don't like some, and I feel bad. Like, I'm everybody's dad or their grandpa. And yes, I am a grandfather, in case anybody is confused by this youthful appearance. I have grandkids. People were never taught. Do I think flippers that scour Goodwill for deals are doing something morally wrong? Like, do you think the principle of thrift stores is that the items are being made cheaply available to people that need them cheaply available? Or are they the general public to use as desired, including for profit? Okay, you're asking me a capitalist question and a moral question inside of a capitalist society with no morals. I think it is morally wrong to profit off of an item that somebody else could use as a day-to-day use item. I do, however, say that if you can go into a Goodwill and you buy that radioactive glass, that isotope glass, because people always find that in Goodwill. So you buy a vase for $3. Well, we'll do 3. No, we'll try fucking doing our numbers correctly. You buy a vase for $3 at Goodwill, and it turns out to be, worth $75. Well, minus the 3 that you paid for it is 72. As long as a portion of that 72 goes to charity, right? I don't think you're doing anything morally wrong. Is if you're shopping in the Goodwill store, you're up flipping the value of the stuff in there, but then you're donating, say you made $70 or $72 profit on selling that fucking glass, and then you donate $10 to charity and you keep the other 62. I don't think there would be anything morally wrong with that, because it depends on what charity you donate it to. I think in that way, you're making a little bit of money, the charity's making a little bit of money, Goodwill made their little bit of money on the sale from you. I think nobody has lost here. But where I see the problem is people go into the Goodwill, they buy a shirt for $7, and then they list that shirt on Facebook Marketplace for $15, and then they keep the $8 profit, and $0 goes back to charity. Well, then yeah, you're morally reprehensible. It's like the people that give out food. It's like the people that give out free food, like DeCartos. He's on vacation, so he can't elaborate on the story. But a baker put out all their day-old loaves of bread and all their day-old pastries. And a woman who was about 400 pounds, and this is important, so saith the story, she came along, she scooped up all the bread, all the pastries, and she said, well, it's for my hungry kids. Well, do you think that baker is going to put any more food out when he sees one woman come along and eat it all? The answer is no. That's why I don't like doing charity work that involves giving charity to people in a form that they could then turn around and profit from it. I like doing charity work in the form, like, I will never give a former drug addict cash. Ever. I will never give a drug addict cash. And based on some things that I've seen, I will never give a drug addict groceries. I will take a friend who's struggling with drug addiction. I won't let him in my house, because sticky fingers, shit goes missing. But I'll say, hey man, I'll bring you to my place. I'll give you some work gloves. I need some shit in the backyard. I need some weeds ripped up. While you're outside doing that, I'll make you a meal. What do you need? What stuff do you need that I could potentially give you for immediate use? So, friend comes over, does the weeding. I do the cooking. We go out on the patio, bring a bucket so they can wash their hands. Can I use your bathroom? Nope. Why? Because every time you come into my house, shit goes missing. Sorry, man. I'm willing to help you, but not at the cost of you stealing shit. Not at the cost of you taking my shit. I'll feed you. What do you need? Take him to, on the way home, grab White Hen Pantry. It's right where I used to live. I say White Hen Pantry, people don't know what it is. It's like a convenience store. It's like a 7-Eleven. Go in, get him a sandwich and a bottle of Gatorade. Here you go. Well, can I just get a couple of bucks? Nope. Absolutely not. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Well, I can't make my rent. Well, how much do you have? Well, I just need how much towards your rent do you have? Well, never mind, man. Yeah, never mind, because you have your rent money. You want me to give you cash. If you're short, give me what you have. This is back when landlords took cash. Give me what you have and I'll get the rest and I'll go with you and we'll pay your rent. No, they have their rent. They're on rent control, fucking check Section 8 or Housing Authority or whatever the fuck else have you. They know their rent is covered. But they're using the can you help me with my rent bullshit because they want a couple of bucks so they can go score. Which, I mean, this is why I like raising money for kids. I'm not saying that junkies don't need help, but helping junkies is so much more difficult. You donate to the Children's Miracle Network, the money is going to the kids. Charity is meant definitionally to help someone, not give them the means to help themselves. If they worked, they probably wouldn't need the help. So I'm seeing more and more growing statistics that more and more people that are, quote, homeless have jobs. I don't like the fact that we're now monkeying around with the definition of homeless. Give me 1 second. So, if that worked, they probably wouldn't need help. You're right, if that worked. But to the other point that I was making, we've now started playing games with the definition of homeless. Homeless is you don't have a place to go. If my brother showed up on my doorstep and was like, hey bro, I got fired, I need a place to live, my brother would be homeless because my brother wouldn't be living in my house. I know it sounds cruel, I know it sounds harsh, but he wouldn't be living here. My sister, on the other hand, my sister came to the door, I'd let my sister in. We got to stop playing with words. You're not unemployed unless you're collecting benefits. Some people are just out of the workforce, but they want to be in the workforce, but they're out of benefits. Unemployment is low. Unemployment would be triple the number it is if we counted all the people who are actually out of a job who want a job. Only a fool is going to give a drug addict 50 bucks and think that they're going to help themselves. You're right. It was like in my state now, or actually, I don't know if it's in my state or just at the hospital network, when they prescribe you a narcotic painkiller, they also write you a prescription for Narcan. All right, so what the fuck good does it do to give somebody a prescription for Narcan? An addict isn't going to take Narcan, and a non-addict isn't going to accidentally overdose. Why are we implementing solutions that don't solve any problems? Why are we worried about fucking about with prescribing Narcan? Who are we trying to help? Like when I was a counselor, yeah, engineered problems. When I was a counselor, while I was finishing my counselor training, my supervisor said, "Do you want to get certified in administering Narcan?" Nope. My supervisor was like, "Not the answer I expected. I am not getting certified to administer Narcan." I said to my supervisor, I was like, "You will note that I am not first aid certified. I am not CPR certified." I said, "If somebody has a medical emergency in my class, I'm calling 911. I am not rendering aid. Half of my clients are fucking junkies. Of my half that are junkies, 25% are IV needle users. I am not rendering life-saving aid to somebody that I got a 1 in 4 chance that this person sticks needles in their arm, and I can't guarantee their needles are clean." Oh, hi, buddy. I can't guarantee that those needles are clean, so I can't guarantee that person doesn't have something they're going to pass on to me. Oh, you want to be internet famous again? You're such a ham bone. Oh, you're such a show off. That's right. That's right. You're a good boy. Aw, thank you. Put the murder mittens away though, buddy. Good boy. He's like, "Dad, I'm so confused. Dad, why are you streaming today? You don't stream on Sundays." No, we do an extra show. We try to save money for kids. Not kids. Not little people like you. What was that? Oh! I love that cat. That cat is a riot. That cat replaced the hole in my heart from when Toga died. I'd never had a kitten die before they hit 1 year old. That tore me up. I don't handle losing my pets well, but that losing Toga tore me the shit up. NetEase, wait, where did you go? NetEase launches Sword of Justice. NetEase has officially launched Sword of Justice worldwide. The free-to-play MMO takes players to a richly detailed 12th century China. The mobile version, though, and not Justice Online that was promised. All right, hold on a second. With things like drug addicts, do I legitimately think they deserve help? Or do you think they're opting out of health by not helping themselves? I mean, I guess it sounds pretty uncompassionate to actually read that, but if people don't care about their life, can you really care for them? No, you can't. And therein lies a really, really big part of the problem. I will say this as a recovered addict from pain pills and benzos and alcohol. Okay? You can't help somebody out of their addiction unless they want to be helped out of their addiction. You can't want it for them. There was no amount of anything other people were going to do for me that was going to help me break my cycle of addiction. Nothing. There was nothing anybody would have been able to do. Now, as long as you're trying to get clean, you're going to need a lot of support. And we started to talk about this the other day, and then I had the mouthpiece that was just running all over the conversation. Like, look, there's a difference between a psychological addiction and a chemical addiction. Other drugs have chemical effects on your body in such a way that makes it unsafe to go cold turkey. You don't tell a chronic alcoholic to quit cold turkey. It will kill them. It gives them DT. It gives them seizures. You have to titrate off alcohol slowly. Now, if you've only just started stumbling into alcoholism and your threshold isn't high, that person can have and quit pretty quickly. You got these guys that are drinking a 6-pack and a 5th every night. You can't just tell that person to have. You'll fucking kill them. That person is gonna, like, first of all, we always forget that there's a reason why that person became an alcoholic or a drug addict in the first place. And I know what some people are gonna say. They're gonna say, well, sometimes people get addicted to drugs and alcohol on their first hit. Sure. Very, very rare. Very, very few. But it happens. Most people get addicted because of the crossover between feeling good and not feeling bad. And when you study addiction, your addiction level is 0. Your fun level is 100. So you take the drug to feel good. Unfortunately, your addiction level is slowly growing. And then slowly your fun level is coming down because you're used to it. It's like you ride a roller coaster. The first time you ride a roller coaster, you're scared shitless, nearly piss your pants because it's high G, big turns, pulling out of the seat, like scared, like the Velocicoaster scared the fuck out of me the first time I rode it, because when I rode it, I was a big boy. And when I went out of the seat, I was like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die. Like, I was expecting the harness to keep me all the way down. No, I went up off my butt. I thought my harness had come loose, and I loved it. Now I ride the Velocicoaster, and I'm like, okay, it's a Saturday. Because what's happened is your fun level has come down, but now you hit this very important line right here. And above that line, you're taking the drug. That's a terrible color. You're taking the drug to feel good. But after this line, after this crossover, now you're taking the drug not to feel bad. So now your new normal is popping a pill. Well, what's happened is if it's a chemically addicting drug, your body no longer produces whatever has been replaced. Yeah, you mess up your baseline. So then what ends up happening is you're chemically addicted. It's why they don't like to start diabetics on insulin until they have to. They try to change your diet, change your weight, get your A1C down, increase your protein, decrease your sugars. Because once you go on insulin, your pancreas is like, my job's done. Once you hit a certain level, your body says, nah, I'm not gonna do my fair share. Which is why the guy that was losing his shit on me the other day, I said, that's where weed is different. Because you could do all the fucking weed in the world. You can fucking tar up your receptors to no fucking end. And not that you should, but you can tar up your receptors. But 24 hours after your last hit of artificial weed, your body is going to start saying, all right, well, you're not going to give me that. I need to start sending the message through with my own chemicals. And 48 hours later, 72 hours later, 72 hours after you take your last dose of cannabis, your body can get the full signal through. But you're not used to pulse signal. You're used to constant signal. You're not used to lizard, 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 lizard. You're used to lizard. You're used to somebody holding their fucking hand down. But within 72 hours, your body is now able to pulse the signals. 28 days later, all the gumming up of your receptors you've done is over. And just because when somebody says something to me on my show, I always like to go back and double check myself. And I did. I spent hours after that show making sure I was right. Most people that suffer from CWS, cannabis withdrawal symptoms, when you read the literature, it's because they're addicted to other things. They have other reasons. They started using weed as a replacement for painkillers. Well, yeah, that's a plan, but it's not a very fucking good one. So, you're right. People say they drink or drugs just to feel normal. It's because they no longer have the ability to cope without them. And I will say, abso-fucking-lutely, my boss, right near the end of my military career, and as much as it pains me to say, I needed to be medically retired because I could no longer function at the building. In a 3-hour meeting, my boss watched me take pills 4 times in a 3-hour meeting. My boss came to me and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I watched you take medication 4 times. I said, "Yeah, I took my social anxiety medication, and then I'm in pain sitting here, not able to stand up, walk around, so I took a painkiller." So my boss is like, "How much of exactly what did you take?" I said, "Oh, I took 250 milligrams of Atarax and whatever, 100 milligrams of Vicodin, Percocet." Like the next day, I'm getting the fucking, maybe you should go to drug treatment. Maybe the fuck you shouldn't schedule 3-hour meetings. Like, and I admit, I was the one that was wrong. I'm the one that had the problem. But that's why some drug addicts get to the part where they're at. Because they can no longer function. They can no longer deal. I had a guy that one time said he wanted to get unaddicted from heroin unaddicted from crack, but he was always going to do heroin. Excuse me? Yeah, man, this crack is killing my life, but I'm always going to do that heroin. I don't think our program is designed for you, man. I don't think yeah, if you can't go a week without something, you'll eventually not be able to go a day without it. It's like when I was first in the military. When I was first in the military, it made me laugh. It made me, it really, really, really made me smile. When I left for the military, I was engaged. And we were broke ass poor. What happened to that guy who came in about quitting smoking? Last time I checked, he was down to a couple of cigarettes a day. He hasn't come in and given us a check-in. Anyway, when I went to basic training, I was engaged, but we were kind of broke ass poor. Because I'd just finished my master's degree. I was a Catholic school teacher. I didn't make a lot of money. I owned my own house, but I didn't have a lot of cash resources. So I went to basic training. And I thought to myself, it's going to be 7 weeks until I see my fiance and daddy can knock that shit out like Mike Tyson. And then she couldn't make the trip out to my graduation because there were no surplus funds. Because being an E1 for 7 weeks doesn't pay shit. So then I get to tech school. And that don't pay shit either. Now I'm in E3, but that still don't pay shit. The money I'm sending home is enough to pay the property taxes, keep the lights on. So I went home at Christmas. And I thought it was funny because I had gotten into my own head. How am I going to go 6 months without fucking? Like, how am I going to do this? Like, this is a big ask. Like, right? This is a big ask. 24 years old. I've been living on my own for 8 years. 6 months. 6 months would be the longest I've gone since I started having sex. But I got in my own head about it. It's like, how the fuck is this gonna work? Then I went home at Christmas. Things were great. Went back to tech school for another 6 months. Went home, things were great. I used to hear the guys arrive at tech school and they'd be like, thank God basic is over. I can't wait to get laid. And I was their in processing person. And I would say, got bad news for you. It's at least another 6 weeks because you can't go anywhere you can get laid for 6 weeks. And if you want to get laid, you got to have a car. You need to be able to get your ass down to Dallas. We had a rule. You can't rent a hotel room within 100 miles of base. The only people who could rent hotel rooms within 100 miles of base were married people. You didn't want to get caught renting a hotel room within 100 miles of base. If you think you can't go a week, a month, a year without something, unless it's water, oxygen, or food, then you have a psychological problem. For me, I will outright say I'm addicted to everything. I would kill a person for a fucking soda right now. I'm still locked into the addiction of soda. I haven't had a soda since the 13th of October. I don't have soda. I am on a very high protein, very low carb, very low free sugar diet. I've gotten the use of my hands back. I have small cluster neuropathy. My feet are a different story. But I have use of my hands. It feels like I'm standing in a hot tub all the time, and not a comfortable hot tub. I feel like I'm standing in the hot bath when you let that shit get too hot. That, you know, that moment that before you start doing the happy feet dance and you jump out of the bathtub. That's what my feet feel like. It's okay. They tell me that if I stay on a low sugar, low carb diet, it might help calm them down. It's kind of like carpal tunnel. Kind of. I mean, I do have carpal tunnel in my right wrist. But yeah, I have small cluster neuropathy. I can tell you right now, when I do have something with sugar in it, my hands start to tingle right away. So I'm done with that shit. I'm not gonna not be able to game because I want a root beer. Now, do I want a root beer? Fuck yes, I do. Do I have a couple of more weeks before my taste buds change and I stop craving it? Yeah. I will not drink. That's a great question, and the doctor and the nutritionist and the dietitian and all them and the psychologist all recommend. Yeah, it's pre-diabetes. That's what it is. It's exactly what it is. They all say, well, do the zero soda stuff. I said no, because I don't feel like cranking aspartame again. I would just rather say to myself, you're not gonna have it. Because then when I have something like an orange or a pear, it's gonna taste good, because I'm not gonna have coated my taste buds with that artificial synthetic sugar shit. So, but yeah, it's not gonna change the fact that I would cut through 12 of you like carving a cake if there was a Barks that I could drink with no side effects. Look, Captain, we want you to personally invade Nigeria. What's in it for me? They have a formula for Barks that won't trigger your neuropathy. Saddle up, boys. We going to war. And somebody grab that Geneva suggestions list. Somebody grab the checklist. We're gonna check them all off. But, you know, it's just something I'm learning to deal with. Yeah, always got that handy. No, man, Wolfagar, you're from fucking Canada, man. You don't have the checklist or the suggestions list. You have the it's never a war crime the first time list available. Wolfagar is like, well, what if we did this? And the devil is busy vomiting in a trash can. Loki's over there like, all right. By the way, I do want to thank you for, I want to thank everybody for their donations. It's a lean year. Yeah, it's your inspiration list. It's a lean year for people, and I get that. I do get that. A lot of people that normally would throw $5 here, $20 here. I get it. You can't buy groceries for yourself, and I'm not gonna. This is the year I'm not gonna do the guilt trip shit. It's really hard, and it sucks for the Children's Miracle Network. In fact, I want to look at something real quick for the Children's Miracle Network. I want to see. Yeah, even the Children's Miracle Network is a little light this year. Because people can't make their donations. Okay. You're not gonna let me do that? Like, this is not usually the way the front page of the Extralife chart looks on the second day of game day. I mean, look at that. 2 million, 500,000, 100,000, 90,000. This is the top of the food chain. Normally there's like Magic the Gathering's usually at like 2 million, then somebody else is at like a million. And then usually the top 10 is pushing 50, 60, 70,000. Intrepid Studios for years and years had been in the top, gonna break into the top 10. A couple of times they were in the top 10, but those were the years where they had raised like 70, 80, 90,000. This is a rough year. And I get that. And charity organizations get that. It's really hard to say, oh, well, we need to raise money when 75,000 federal workers are out of work. But it doesn't mean we can't do the show. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it. Doesn't mean we can't. I mean, I'll do my donation. I had a little index card here earlier. The number that we should get to, if nobody else donates, will be just shy of $800. Yeah, rough year. People should look at our leaders. The problem is we don't have leaders. We have people in positions, but we don't have leaders. Unfortunately, everybody lies. And the reason why I'm in the just chatting category today is so that I can just chat a little bit about politics. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican right now. Yeah, they were elected as leaders, but they're not. They're not leading. The Democratic Party is keeping the government shut down because they want to get mandatory concessions for healthcare that don't help anybody, but they help the insurance companies. Like, if you want to give every American free healthcare, then why did you choose, and I mean this, why did we create the Affordable Care Act? Why did we just not say, let's put everybody on Medicare? Why did we involve private insurance companies? It's like TSA and air traffic controllers should be excluded during our government shutdown, just like our leaders. Well, one of the Senator Kennedy has introduced 2 new pieces of legislation, one of which is if the government shuts down, Congress does not get paid and cannot get their back money. It'll never pass, but I'm glad somebody introduced it. That you are right, though. TSA and air traffic controllers should be paid because those things are paid for already by the plane ticket. I don't know if you've ever looked at a plane ticket. Let me see if I have. So when I buy a plane ticket, I want you to see how fucking dumb this is. My base fare was $646. And then I paid a transportation tax, a 9/11 security fee, a passenger facility charge, and a flight segment tax. Okay, well, if you're gonna charge every single passenger that goes to the airport $11.20 for TSA for a security fee, shouldn't 100 passengers in an hour pay one person's salary for the week? And so $11.20 times 100 passengers divided by 40. That would mean the first 100 passengers that walk in the door pay a guy to be making $25 an hour for TSA. $22 an hour with benefits. 100 passengers generates enough money to pay for one employee and him to have benefits. And let's be honest, one flight has about 160 people on it. And let's say they've got 40 flights in an hour. Okay. Let's do 30 flights in an hour. They have one flight take off every other minute. Let's just do that. 160 people on a plane. 30 flights in an hour. $11.20. 1 hour worth of passengers coming into the airport. $53,760. On just the 9/11 security fee. That's enough money to pay for one TSA agent for the whole year. Where the fuck is the money going? Because it's not like the government is shut down and they're not collecting that tax right now. So why can't you break off why does our government, and I say this all the fucking time, over here, I've got this wonderful thing that says, I want things to make fucking sense. Why is it we don't write rules that make sense? Look, we're going to have the 9/11 security fee. We're going to have that pool of money. That's going to pay for TSA. If we have to tweak it another $1, we tweak it another $1. But then we don't try to fund that any other way. Are people still flying? Yes. Okay, they're still flying? Awesome. That means people are still buying plane tickets. Yeah? Okay. So, why are TSA officers not getting charged? If you want, I have no problem saying, if you want to add another line, what are these things going to pay for? If not for the air traffic controllers. Take the transportation tax, that goes to the airport. The 9/11 security fee, that goes to TSA. The passenger facility charge, well then where the hell does that go? The transportation tax, let's think about the money for just a second. $48 times 160 times 30. That means one airport is generating $230,000 every hour. And what is that paying for? And if it's not paying for the air traffic controllers, then why not? But you're absolutely right. As long as the airports are open, TSA should be paid and ATC should be paid. It's like it's designed to be confusing, so you'll see all the fees, but you never ask why you're paying it. Well, it's like next year. I'm taking my family to Disney again next year. Our 20-year-old is coming with us. So it's a family vacation, and she hasn't been for the last couple of trips because drop out of high school, don't go to college right away. No more family vacations for you. I know, I'm a mean, hard man, but that's life. I'm driving down the day before. I'm leaving out Tuesday morning and driving down. Because that way I have a car. That way I have my pillows. That way I have my fan. That way I have all of my stuff. I have a Tupperware bin full of goldfish and pretzels and other snacks. So I'm not paying $4.50 per Powerade at the resort. I bring all that shit with me. Yeah, it's 32 hours in the car round trip, but I'm driving, my family is flying. I hate checking luggage. I hate checking luggage. To me, checking luggage is the worst fucking dice roll gamble ever. I'm going to give you my luggage and I'm going to trust that it's going to be there. Oh. Okay. I'm going to hope that it's going to be there. I'm not really cool on hoping that it's going to be there. The more you obfuscate what something means and why you have to pay it, the more likely you'll just roll with it. Well, you're right. And unfortunately, unfortunately, there's things you can't do. There's things you can't change. Like I was buying a car and it absolutely made me laugh. The guy brought the long form out and he had all these, well, this is optional. And I said, well, then I'm not paying it. And the guy's like, excuse me? I said, I'm not paying it. He's like, well, you have to. I said, you just said it's optional. I'm not paying it. And he was like mollified. Like it was just like rebooting it was like rebooting the cat when you touch their tongue. He had no idea what to do with the idea that I had just said. I'm not paying that. There you go. There's a donation. I made it. I did my donation. Why the bar doesn't move, I don't know. But that's okay. I also don't know why it didn't ding. I never understand what the fuck happens with these alerts. It's like every stream, every game day, these always want to just like not cooperate. Like every single time. Let's test this. Let's see if it works if I do it this way. Oh, I guess not. I don't know why. I don't know why this thing decides to misbehave. It showed up somewhere that it shouldn't. Oh, that's why. It should have been. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Trying to fix things on the fly. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one. Yeah, yeah, it's every Extralife. I think their server gets just gets overwhelmed. But no, you're absolutely right. The more you can cloak something, you're likely to pay it. And even when people get told it's an optional fee, they're likely to not challenge it. It's like, for example, you go somewhere and they have a mandatory gratuity of 18%. They have a mandatory gratuity of 18%. And you say to them, excuse me, my server sucked. Can I, or you say to the server, yeah, I'm gonna need to see the manager. And the manager comes over and you say, hey, I'm not tipping 18%. And they're like, well, that's our mandatory tip for a party of 6. I'm not doing that. And the reason why I'm not doing it is this, and this. These are all problems. It was like, there was a server who got really pissed off at me a couple of years ago. This is when I stopped going to one particular place. Server writes down the order. Then the food comes. And there's no food in front of me. When the server didn't bring the food. The expo food runners brought the food. And the expo was like, sir, did you not order something? And I said, no, I did. Could you send our server over, please? So the server comes over. And the server's like, yeah, can I help you? Well, yeah, something's clearly missing off the table. And the server's like, well, what's missing? And I said, well, why don't you tell me since you took the order? And she was like, oh no, you're not going to talk to me that way. Get the fucking manager. So the manager came over. And now all these people are staring at the table. Because this server has just been like, and she said like, oh no, you're not going to talk to me that way. Get the fucking manager then. So the manager comes over and the manager's like, if you would just like to follow me. I said, no, we can talk here. My family is eating. You can stand there. We can talk. I said, you see the problem here? The manager's like, did you not order anything? I said, no, I did. And when I told your server to tell me what they dropped, what part of the order they dropped, she lost her fucking mind. And so the manager is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I said, it's no problem. Just make sure that it's taken off of my bill. And the manager's like, oh, I'll get your order done right away. I said, well, at this point, my family is already eating. I'm not really interested. I said, just take it off of my bill and we'll call it good. Well, the manager walked away. The manager, about 20 minutes later, well, another server came over and said, hi, it was a guy this time. He's like, hi, I'm Mike, whatever. And I'll be taking care of you for the rest of the meal. Is there anything you need right now? And I was like, everybody good? Okay, I said, no, everything's good. Well, my family was done. The manager walked over and the manager had a to-go bag. And the manager was like, sir, I'm very sorry about what happened this evening. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I talked to the server. I got your order. I've had the kitchen prepare your order to go, and I've taken it off your meal. So you're not paying for it. The manager's like, I've also taken the drinks off of your meal. So I said, okay. Well then the tab still had the 18%. I called the manager over. I said, hey, I'm not paying this. And the manager's like, well, I've already taken the drinks off. I said, then put the fucking drinks on. And put the fucking drinks back on. And take this 18% off. Because I'm not tipping 18%. I'm tipping 0. My tip for this is a 0. So go ahead and put the fucking drinks back on and I'll pay for those. But I'm not leaving a tip. And so the girl heard me. I'm not a quiet guy. So the girl heard me. The manager fucked off. He came back. He still didn't put the drinks back on, but he took the 18% tip off. On the tip line, I put 0.00. And then as I was walking past Mike, or whatever his name is, I handed him cash. I said, thank you for finishing up with my family. As I'm walking out, the server went around the back, like, line of the restaurant, came up and confronted me in the foyer of the restaurant. You don't understand. Some people live off their tips. I said, then you don't understand. If you live off of your tips, don't be a fucking jackass. All I said to you is, you took the order, you tell me. If you had just looked at your pad and said, oh my God, I forgot the T-bone, I'd be like, okay, well, go figure. You go now find your manager, and you and your manager figure out how you're going to fix it. But when I say to you, you tell me, and you're like, oh no, you're not going to talk to me that way. You ain't even fucking scratched the surface about how I'm about to talk to you. I didn't, it's not like I was one of these people that looked at the server and said, you're a dumb cunt. I said, you tell me. Because if you're a server, you should know what the fuck you just dropped. Because you need to know, like, if you're the server, you need to go back to the expo line. Is there a fucking rogue T-bone just sitting up under the heat lamp? Who, as a server, do you got to go get into an expo or a food runner's ass? Or do you have to get in your own ass and say, I forgot to put it in? I forgot to drop this. I forgot to drop this piece in. So. But that's also why I'm glad I'm not a server anymore. I'm glad I don't have to deal with people anymore. I don't people. I don't people very well. I don't people. And with that said, I'm going to make the last donation. I had to make 2 donations today. I had to make the donation for Extralife. I had to make the donation for the company. And then I was actually wrong on how much the company had to donate. But since I said I was going to match and somebody donated, I'm going to go ahead and match. Because that's the right thing to do. I'm actually going to match the whole 150. Because you own your fuck ups. So it's a lean year this year for Extralife, but I feel good. We got a little bit donated. And every penny helps. Why won't you? Maybe I won't be making the donation. I can't log back into the company email. It's not letting me. No, I need to. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Alrighty. So this year we managed to raise about $790. That bar will update eventually. Probably tomorrow. Tomorrow I don't think I'm gonna do a politics show. I think I'm gonna check out that video game that I found. I think I'm gonna look at Sword of Justice a little bit. So that'll be a good time. I want to thank everybody who always swings by the show. It's always nice to see people, have you hang out. But I am going to get out of here. My wife is not feeling well, and I've got other bits and bobs to take care of. I will be back tomorrow to do a show. Probably that video game. I don't expect it to be game of the year, but just maybe something. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I wonder if the organic meat sack that runs this channel knows a lot of these sponsors don't sponsor us anymore.
They were longtime sponsors. The credits are fine.
Do we get paid? Is any of this sponsorship money for Gale, Daisy, the Chaos